Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Reviewer's View. I have Kemper Holt from AV Showrooms on my left, and I have Terry Eringi from AV Showrooms over on my right.
Hi.
We're all equipment reviewers. Terry and I are a team. We head up AV Showrooms. If you've been watching YouTube videos of high-performance audio equipment, you've stumbled across our videos. We do this at every show. We wrap it up. So it's kind of like, what did we like? What was the coolest room? So what I'm going to do is ladies first. Terry, what stood out for you?
Well, the big standout for me was the GTT Sonia room. I've heard this configuration of Sonia 2.1s, Kronos in the power supply, Kabbalah Sosna cables, time and time again. It's always a good room. They set it up really, really well. But there was something very different this time. The sound stage was bigger. The attack on the piano when we were playing Ambason's track, Fly Away, was inimitable. I never heard it sound this good, and then suddenly it dawned on me that the only thing different in this room was the Kabbalah Sosna cables, the new top-of-the-line realizations. So anybody who saw that room, I'm sure would agree with me. It's got to be one of the best rooms at the show.
Well, I got to second that. Kemper, did you get in that room?
I did get in that room.
Okay.
I thought it was excellent. It's my first real exposure to the YGs, the Sonias. I'll have something to say about the Carmel 2s later.
Good. How about that? Well, I'm going to start it off at the beginning. Everybody wonders, well, what do you think? What's your favorite room? Well, to me, it was a home run. It was the Von Schweikert room, and they had the Ultra 2s. This is a new loudspeaker that was designed by Damon Von Schweikert, Leif Swanson, and with some input from the senior as well, Albert Von Schweikert. Now, the size of the speaker is a foot taller than me, and man, I couldn't even fit him in my house. So I said to them, you know, I'd love to own a pair of these, except unfortunately I'd have to go and spend $1.5 million for a home just to fit them in. We sat down and they played Roger Waters' Amused to death. Holy cow. The images went around my head. It was, I could not believe it. Well, you know, it's done in a kind of a Q-sound approach. What that is, and when they mastered that recording in post-production, they use a device that takes out of phase information and places it in different spots across the stage, and they can manipulate that. The recording engineer actually has a little toggle switch, so he can take a toggle and toggle a certain track, whether it be a dog barking from over there or an atmosphere from over there. And they do that in this record, and we all know it, us audiophiles. It's a famous record. Well, so they sat me down in the sweet spot, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. And then when the bass came on, it was the whole room just filled with accurate, solid tonality in the lower registers, which is hard to get at a show. That room took some time to set up. They had issues with trying to get what that speaker can do is it can image no matter where you sit in the room, and they were really fighting to get the image to be better than what the sweet spot was offering, because the sweet spot was out of sight. So that to me was a killer room, and if I had the mansion for that, for those speakers, they would be coming home with me today. So Terry, let me pass over to you. Give me another room.
I really like the audience room with the Sidourney horns.
Those Sidourney horns, George Jorge Sidourney, Texas manufacturer, Mexican, runs a Mexican company, and he makes these horns that are, he used to call, the old version was staccato. Raise your hand if you remember these things. They were red in color. Remember those things? Yeah. Now these kind of toned it down a little bit, smoothed out the finish on the back, and he's incorporated what used to be a long tube for the subwoofer, which was separate, into the speaker itself. Very smooth and integrated sound.
Very delicate.
Very delicate.
Again, another Ambasson recording, and it sounded to me as if Am was singing into the microphone right by my ear. You could hear the sound of the spit, the sound of the lips. It was unbelievable. It was such a quiet background.
That's what I would say, quiet. How about Kemper? Give us a room that took you by surprise like that room took us by surprise.
I had never heard them before. but the room with the German physics and Merrill
Yeah.
Electronics
That
was,
yeah.
I thought it was
Very, very
stunningly good. I'd never heard them before. I just heard a similar song, in fact, the same exact song in a different room, and Led Zeppelin. And the German physics, it just took cymbal crashes to a new level. It was just, they were explosive, they shimmered and had a really nice long decay. The dynamics were explosive, and it was an extremely good meshing of the very unusual cone driver they have with the woofer. They only have to go from 200 hertz down, 190 hertz down, but it was very coherent in the blending of the coherency between the woofer, which is a cone facing down, and this unusual cone driver that is made specifically for that. He makes his own magnets, the gentleman does. I just thought the image was wonderful. Nothing stuck to the speaker. They completely disappeared. I think he told me we averaged 103 dBs, hit peaks of 130.
Well,
And
hold my ears.
it was exciting, let's put it that way.
Well, I'm going to toss it back to myself. The room that really got me this year, and I filmed this room in many different shows, and it's Klaus Bunge. He's the proprietor of Odyssey, and he's a descendant of the symphonic line of electronics from Germany, and he was able to borrow the schematics from the German company to build the Odyssey line of electronics. These are affordable electronics. You don't have to spend $75,000 for a monoblock. They're available for under $4,000. They've been top rated by the Absolute Sound. He's at most of the shows. So I walked into the room, he grabs me. He usually cuts up and says something goofy, and he was real serious this time. I thought, gosh, what's going on? The room was completely dark, and he had these fancy lights on and a little sign that had the name of the cable company, and the images were just bouncing across the whole room. It was, I was totally startled by it. And he says, Peter, come here. And so I did, and he was in the middle of a demo. He said, this is the best damn room I've ever set up in my whole life. I can't believe it.
In 30 years.
30 years. So we
It
filmed.
easily competed with some of the very
Oh, yeah,
expensive rooms.
yeah,
It
this-
wasn't just good for its price.
Yeah.
At a certain
Yeah,
price point.
yeah.
It was competitive across the board.
Across the board. They played the track, Singing Winds, Crying Beasts, that leads into the Santana Abraxas, Black Magic Woman. And, the tinkling of the bells, everybody knows that song. I mean, that whole room just felt like that we were sitting in the sound studio where they had recorded the bells themselves. It was spooky, and I was astounded by it. So we played one of our tracks. We have a recording that we use in our videos called Nublado, and it's recorded by Todd Garfinkel from MA Recordings. He recorded an Argentina band about 20 years ago. It's actually 2496. He released a track called Nublado on 45 RPM LP 2.5 years ago, and it's got this bass clarinet that goes and it rolls out across the soundstage. And you'll hear it in the video. So when you watch our videos and you look at the video of the Odyssey room shoot, you get yourself a pair of earbuds or put a pair of headphones on or stream it to your big rig, and you'll be able to hear the magic of the imaging. Our cameras, dual omnis, pick up a lot of the room itself. So you actually get a real feel for what the rooms sound like, and you can sit in the comfort of your chair and watch shows in 1080p over YouTube if you're surfing in Chrome, or if you're surfing in Firefox, or if you're surfing on an Apple platform. It's really cool to do. Now, this room also had, and I have to look down at my notes here, I forget the name of the cables at this.
Magnum.
Magnum, that's it, MAGNAN. Cables. Klaus thought that maybe perhaps the Magnum cables were adding to this magic in the room. The whole darn system was $9,000. Now we're talking $9,000 for a total system in a world where we have $9,000 interconnects. So it's definitely was one of the standout rooms, and it's winning a Gold Show award from us. Terry, give us another outstanding room.
Oh, I think Emerald Physics, we didn't cover that.
That's, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Walter Lederman of Emerald Physics did a really good demo for us. That's another value system. I think it was under 10,000 for the entire system. And he was playing Cassandra Wilson. It was Dance to the Drummer. And it was another value system that could compete with some of the top-of-the-line systems at the show, or at any show. So between Klaus and Walter, they really have it wrapped up
Yeah,
for the
they
lower
really,
price
at the
market.
low end of the range, I mean, these guys are hitting the ball out of the park. Kemp, how about another room?
I would say the Jim Salk room with the Salk speakers, the brand new ones, Exogal Comet DAC, and the Wells Audio amp. Salk has waited 9 months for a new 9.5-inch Satori woofer. He's got a new Eaton design mid-range, magnesium comb with a backing that dampens the resonances. It's $5,900, exceptionally good looking, and I thought it was a great sounding room.
I'll throw another one out, the Rhythm Room. Jacob George from Rhythm has got a new distributor in the United States. I first heard his loudspeaker. He uses a Lowther, which is a single driver loudspeaker that runs full range. The problem with Lowthers is that they don't have any bass. So you have to build special horns and folded horns, and people made kits that, wood kits that you could have your carpenter make, or you could put together in your basement or wood shop, and you had to have special vices and glue to hold these together to make these. And then the brand developed, the word of mouth got out over the past 15, 20 years, and this designer, he took the speaker and he experimented with many different enclosures. And then he ended up deciding, you know what, there's no way I'm going to be able to get bass out of this driver, so I'm going to augment it with its own woofer. And he did. And he showed that at Rocky Mountain 2005. And I used to review for the Absolute Sound back in the 80s and 90s, and I wrote a report on single-ended triode amplifiers. And I was always chasing, the amplifier was always chasing a loudspeaker, because single-endeds don't have the ability to grip the loudspeaker very well. They don't have very high damping factors, which causes the speaker itself, when the speaker moves, it gives a back wave back to the amplifier itself. And that back wave and that woofer coming back needs a break to stop it. So solid state amplifiers have very high damping factors. So when that back wave from that woofer is fed back into the speaker cables, back into your amplifier, very inefficient speakers that are hard to drive, you cannot use single-ended triode tubes on them. You really need to have a solid-state amplifier like an Audio Net or a D'Agostino amplifier, or something that's got a very high damping factor. So I heard these and I thought, geez, these are just out of this world. You've opened up a whole new world for us. And over the years I've been watching him develop, and this is the first time he's got a distributor in the United States. And I urge you to look it up, Rhythm, R-Y-T-H-M. Again,
R-E-T-H-M.
Excuse me, R-E-T-H-M, Rhythm. Just an outstanding loudspeaker that you can drive with these flea-powered amplifiers, like the little single-ended tube amplifier, or other kits, or some of the more exotic ones you can buy. How about you, Kemp? What else?
I thought the room that had the new Daedalus loudspeakers and Modrite electronics was an exceptionally good room.
Yeah,
Lou has got a new Apollo loudspeaker with there's only one 90-degree angle out of the four corners. Very unusual, really good sounding, and I think Dan Wright has worked exceptionally hard at getting a tube output device for the Oppo Sonica, and of course it will transfer into the transports, the 203 and 205. That combination was sounding exceptionally good in that room. A nice sound stage, vocals were terrific, and no digital edge, very analog sounding, if you will.
Tara, how about you? How about another room?
I was really impressed with the gamut Orinder room,
Oh,
Orinder.
yeah.
Those little monitors, they just belt it out like a big speaker. It's the second time I've heard them sound that good. And it's the technology is developed by Benno from Denmark, and it was outstanding, superb.
Yeah, raise your hand, guys, if you've heard Gamut. Did you hear the Gamut room? What do you think of those small loudspeakers? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Aren't they great? Look at the thumbs up. Wow, yeah, they're great. They're not inexpensive, but I'll tell you, I walked into that room and I could hear 30 hertz easy in that room, and the room just melted away like it wasn't even there. That was an outstanding room. I'll pick one out. The Volti Triode Wire Labs Border Patrol room. The Volti Vittoria speakers are the ones we've all known to love. They have that beautiful fit and finish. They're a throwback to the old clipped horns and JBLs of yesteryear. They're handcrafted by Greg Roberts, who used to live in Maine, and he's moved down south. I think is it Tennessee, Terry, or South Carolina? But he has a new factory.
Tennessee.
Yeah, he has a new factory, and he's got these. He's had a lot of people buy these at the shows. He sells direct. He sells them for $16,000, the Vittorias. And he's had a lot of people request, well, I love the sound of your speaker, but I just can't reach the $16,000. So he's come in. It's, I believe it's a little bit under 10, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 8 for this new speaker he's made. It sounded exceptional. And the room was dead quiet. There was dead silence in the background.
Yeah, the Border Patrol amplifiers
Yeah.
were just so in sync
Yep.
with the loudspeakers, and Pete G's Triode Wire
Trial Wire Labs,
Wire Labs. That's another good bang for your buck.
Yeah, cables.
Really good cables for very little money.
Yep.
Comparatively. Anyway.
Yeah, they were playing the Sonny Boy Williams track, that
Wow.
harmonica track.
It sounded very close to the tape
Yeah.
that we have at home.
Yeah, we have a copy of the master tape at home, and it sounded almost just like it. It was awesome.
20 watts into the Rivals was stunningly good.
Yes.
Fast transients, really impactful drum kit.
Yeah.
Just exceptionally good. I think the Rival uses similar or exactly the same drivers as the Vittora.
As the Vittora, how about that? How about another room, Kemp?
I'm going to address the home theater crowd. I went into the JTR room, and I heard them at Rocky Mountain, very good. I walked in and they were playing a video of the Star Spangled Banner in a take I'd never heard before. The Blue Angels were flying overhead. There was a huge orchestra and choir. And at the end, in a fireworks display, they sometimes just blow off the bombs without any actual fireworks, just the booms. The impact on my chest felt just like I was lying under the fireworks live. Huge, crushing impact. And I looked around and I was standing next to what I thought was a wall. It turns out it was one of the subwoofers. It had to be 7 feet tall by 2 by 2. I could be buried in it. It was like big enough for me to be buried in as a coffin. But sometimes you need something that big, because the impact was incredulous. I tell you, now I get it. That was really a fun demonstration. I had tears in my eyes at the end of it. It was just terrific.
Gosh darn, I missed that thing. Darn. Well, I'll give you another room that I thought was really an interesting room. And I've heard, and I was part of the launch of the Key 3 loudspeaker from Munich. It was launched in Munich. It was, I think, 2.5, now almost 3 years ago. And I was there at the recording studio where Bruno Puzzi's a designer. He designed the Hypex switching amplifier. The company, the holding company, owns the patent on it, but Bruno was a designer. He is now the designer for Mola Mola. And he designed the Key 3 loudspeaker, and it's got a built-in switching amplifiers, 8 of them in each unit. And at first, when I first heard it, I'm not a switching amplifier fan. Switching amplifiers, they leave a little bit of, how can I put it, humanness on the table. There's just a little bit of that human factor that's not quite there for me. Now, I listen to expensive tube amplifiers at home. I have a pair of $275,000 mono blocks from Audio Note, and I've not had a Class D amplifier come close to it. Now, the key threes, they are coming into the territory of losing that, how can I put it, lack of soul. The demo I had this morning, we played, it was a Dead Can Dance live, and they have a track we played called Opium, and man, I'll tell you, it just took your breath away. The bass, when it opened up. That was an outstanding loudspeaker, and it's affordable. The Key 3 is all in one. You can broadcast to it from your laptop or from your phone, and you can you can wire into it and stream to it from almost any device. So, and you don't have to have amplifiers all over the room and wires and cables, and it's a clean, mean music machine. Terry, how about another one?
I want to give a shout out to Jolita. And I'm so sorry that I'm not able to spend more time in these rooms in a show this big. And Jared wanted me to listen, so we're going to make an opportunity happen there. He's going to come to our house with his electronics. But he did something, and I didn't really get to know how he improved his electronics, but it really has amped up from the past shows. And I really, really like the combination of the Von Schweikerts with the Jolita, and these happen to be the Von Schweikerts that are in the giveaway today.
Oh,
it was
that's cool. Yeah.
a beautiful combination. Now, Jared, who knows better than I do, said, well, we usually show with MBL, but with the improvements I made, that it would sound as equally as good. Of course, he's a manufacturer saying that, but I believe him because he's really come into his own as a very, very gifted
that
designer.
brings up a really good point. As a reviewer, a lot of people think that, we know it all. That when we write a review or you read a review from one of the top level reviewers in any of the magazines, either US based or international magazines, that what we say is gold. Well, that's not really true. It's what we hear in our own homes. And we might have a sound that you don't like at all. That might be our reference. And so our experience, we come at it from a different approach with AV showrooms by trying to get our cameras and mics in front of the manufacturers at their shows that set these rooms up themselves and let them tell the story. Because in some respects, honestly, almost in every respect, they know their product better than I do. So I'm reviewing a system in my walnut room, our walnut room, Terry and I are a team, that consists of Rido D4.1s. There's a U300 integrated amplifier that's not inexpensive, that's $30,000, but it includes a phono stage and a DAC. And it's using switching amplifier modules. And it is the most realistic, lifelike switching amplifier I've ever heard. It is the game changer for switching amplifiers today. Now, Bruno Puzzi's opened the door to this new world of switching amplifiers for high performance audio, and Michael Borison from Rido and helps design Anzu's cables, Scansonic loudspeakers, is really with this AVIC amplifier, is multi-use, it's like a Swiss Army knife. It is, and it was upstairs, and it was being played in the Scansonic room, which leads me over to the Rido. They were 1.1s, D1.1s. They were the smaller format speaker. We filmed them today in that room. And they were just sounding like very holographic, the imaging coming around that loudspeaker. So if you guys are in the marketplace for the Rido sound and you don't have the Rido budget, you can go into Scansonic. But if you have the budget and you want a one-piece solution, one solution for everything, that U300 integrated amplifier, I've had it in my system now for just under 5 weeks. And I have DTC cables with it, that's their top level cables, driving the D4.1s. And I'm astounded at the layering, the detail, the atmospheric reproduction from the system. It's just breathtaking. Kemper, how about you? What's
I have to touch back on the Key 3s. Mm-hmm. I heard Boz Scaggs, thanks to you, many times during the show. I'm not sure I heard a lot of floor standers, and I'm not sure any floor stander pressurized the room and hit the lowest of the low notes on that cut than the Key 3s. It was just astounding. Yeah. How they, and it wasn't boomy, they control the bass with the back-firing woofers, I thought it was wonderful. Then I walked right across the room and heard the YG Caramel 2s. A little bit different, heard the same cut. The caramels almost go as deep, still pressurize the room, and what I got was just more refinement. A little bit more extended on the top end, more teased out, more detail on the top end. Voices were just a little more, like you said, the human factor, just a smidgen more fleshed back out. And I was astounded by their transparency, the YGs. I think it reminded me of electrostatic as far as clarity, but much easier to drive and much easier to live with.
I'll throw another room out, and I do this at every show. You've seen them. Some people shoot bullets at me for it. I do synergistic research shootouts, so we film them. People think this is voodoo. These little devices called HFTs that you stick. You've seen a couple of our videos, or you've been at a show and you've seen these little things, and you go, how could that possibly make a difference? And they sent a representative to my listening studio 3 years ago, and I was so nervous the week before because I didn't know what was I going to, how could I, with a straight face, tell the camera that these actually do make a difference. I have a room, I collect art, and my room is full of art, and it's got a fancy clock on one side, and it's got a big leather sofa that I sit on, and it's got a leather chair over to the right, and it's got a stand that holds the Kronos turntable over to the left. It's got a full-blown audio note level 5 system, which is out of this world. It ought to be for $1.5 million. And then on the other side of my room, I have the record area, where I have another set of turntables, an audio note turntable that's almost $400,000. This is insane. This is not for I looked at it the other day and realized that the equipment in my house is worth more than 4 homes of my neighbors all put together. And how could these little dots that this guy's going to come and install make a difference? And it did. And it made a profound difference, because after he was done putting the dots around the room, I was filming off to the side while he's doing it. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to say? How am I going to, I'm going to be on the spot. And I sat down in my sweet spot, and I called over to Terry, and I could tell right away my voice was different. The whole acoustic of the room is different. And if you think of it, when our voices come out, like my voice is coming out now through a microphone, but our voices come out and it vectors all around the room, just like a swimming pool. So when you throw a pebble in a swimming pool at one end, the ripples go all around the room or the pool and captivate around the corners, and they captivate around the edges and the faces of the side of the swimming pool. So remember back to your basic geometry and vectors, the lines, little arrows. That's what sound is. These are millions of vectors coming at us all over the place when we play our systems, and they're bouncing on the walls, and some of them are just sitting on the wall, and they're moving around like they're alive. And this is what I've come to believe from being a reviewer for 30 years. Why our listening rooms make such a huge difference. We get used to our rooms after a while, and we adjust to them. So when we go to our buddy's listening room, we go, doesn't sound as good as mine. Well, that's because we're so used to our own rooms. We kind of adapt to them. So when these were placed in my room, it was as if my room had turned into a different room. So I heard another demo from Synergistic today. I heard the PowerCell 12 demo. So he turned it on, he turned it off. He turned it on, he turned it off. And the sound of the room was, you could hear the difference in the bass. The bass, Kemper, you were sitting next to me.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly the bass just dropped down another octave when the PowerCell was in the system. So another room that at these audio shows, they're worth checking out.
You could hear the collapse when you turned it on?
Yep, you could hear collapse when you turned it off. Well, what we like to do is at the end, I'm going to catch you by surprise. We like to say, what will we take home from the show? One product that you would take home from the show. And I'll save, Kemper, you think about this. I'm going to have Terry lead off.
I'd like to take home the realization, the Kabbalah-Sazna realization cables, because I was that impressed with the GTT room with the Sonyas. It made such a difference. So I'd like to try it in our system, one of our systems.
Now, Kemper, do you have one for us?
I would have to say I would have to take home the German physics Merrill room. That was just...
You're taking the whole room
that would
home?
do it. Yeah,
You only can take one product.
Oh, German physics, yeah. That was a wonderful, wonderful first listen, and it clicked all the boxes I needed to hear. That was just everything from A to Z, right there in one speaker.
Good.
Well, that's great. Well, I'll take home, when I started it, I'll take home the Ultra 2s from von Schweikert. Those speakers to me are the Knee Plus Ultra, and that's what dreams are made of. That really is what, to me, is the ultimate in audio that I think I've heard at an audio show. So what we're going to do now, we're going to wrap up Reviewer's View. For the first time, we filmed it in front of a studio audience. We've never done this before. And we've decided to invite questions from the audience. And if we have a volunteer from Axpona to come down, please, and we'll switch this on.
So are there any questions? Please raise your hand. There we go.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to find out program material that they use in these rooms bothered me quite a bit. This is the first time I've been to any of these audio expos or anything like this. I've never been to one before.
That's a darn good question.
But it seems like the program material that they use varies tremendously. And in my mind, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can produce program material. I've been reading about it a little bit, and one way is to have the "you are there" approach, where you get all the ambience of the recording venue and all that sort of thing. And the other way that they talked about is the "they are here" approach, where you've got the musicians in the room with you, and you're trying to reproduce what's going on directly in front of you, as if the musicians are right there. And it seems to me like that's probably the better way to audition something like loudspeakers, amplifiers, whatever. But I don't find that happening that much in listening to the program material that people are using in these rooms. And I just wondered if you would comment on that a little bit.
Kemper, how about you? Want to comment on that?
The two approaches?
Well, actually, it's I believe, if I can repeat the question, the gentleman was concerned that the program material isn't really showing off the systems to the way that you would naturally listen at home. That the program material that a lot of people select has a lot of bass or dynamic range and a lot of processing. And what happens is at these shows, the exhibitors want to control the sound in the room. They want to control what you hear. So they're going to bring with them the selection of LPs or CDs or load their server up with files they think sound good. They've been doing this for 30 years. They're so conditioned to hearing differences between things. They want to use wide dynamic range, process sound. That's why, you're not hearing string quartets. We're not hearing, the adagio for strings. We're not hearing some of this beautiful music because somehow, just I don't know why this happened in the audio industry, that it evolved to more of a bombastic approach. Let's whack you over the head with Led Zeppelin. Let's nail you to the wall with the female vocalists that have the breathy sound. And we hear that all the time. And that's just a way of the world. And you have to listen through that. Bring your own program material. If you like string quartets, bring a string quartet on a CD. Good luck finding a CD player.
Well, the Volti room with the Rivals and the Border Patrol, when I was there, they were playing live recorded music. Nils Lofgren and a few other live recordings. And that gave me the "you are there." The ambience in the room, the reflections, and you know how live music doesn't belie itself by being compressed. When a vocalist leans into it or a drummer kicks it, it should pop. It should really have an impact. And that room was one of the best at the you are at the concert venue type of approach. And Peter's right. They bring material that they think highlights their product.
Yep.
And I guess these days, instead of bringing a CD, you need to bring a thumb drive to plug in, or a record for that matter.
Yeah, or a record for that matter. Another question. Anyone?
A comment even.
Even a comment on like a favorite room that we didn't touch on that maybe you liked.
Actually, you did touch on it. I just wanted to know that the two rooms that you called reasonable, like the under 10,000, what were the actual rooms?
The Odyssey room
Okay.
And the
and the
Emerald.
Emerald Physics
Yeah.
room.
Okay.
Okay? Okay?
You have the
Question.
floors or close or?
Preference for which or the other?
Yeah.
A more dynamic range from the Emerald Physics room because he has the speakers the way he had them set in the room, it was going a little bit deeper in the bass. They are baffle-less, which means without baffle in design, which gives you more of an open feel. The sound in the Odyssey room was just the room melted away. So you pick your poison. There's a question behind you.
Did you see the Austin Acoustics room right across the hall?
No, I did not. Did anyone
No.
else here see Austin Acoustics? Any comments on it? Do you have any comments? You want to bring that mic down? Hold on, let's, okay, we have a studio audience member here who's heard the room. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. That particular room had horns that gave you an envelope as one. It was very holographic. I found the frequencies not shifting from left to right, but gave you very good imaging. So that being said, it would require maybe a larger room, like more of a room like this size, to really hear how they should sound. But it was a very, very good, nice setup.
Anybody else with their favorite room that we didn't mention?
I also went to the Austin Acoustics
Oh, good.
room. I'm from Austin, and so I thought I'd see if there was somebody from Austin that was here manufacturing something. Anyway, I was pretty impressed by the room and by what he had there, but I thought the speaker sounded very forward sounding, and I felt like it sounded a whole lot better if I was well back in the room compared to sitting, in the, I think you had an easy chair maybe 15 feet from the speakers, but if you were like 30 feet back, they sounded a whole lot better. They're huge speakers. They cost a ton of money, and he said they were extremely efficient. They put out something like 115 dB at 1 watt input on some of the drivers, he said, that were in there. So it was pretty impressive speakers, but certainly not for everyone, and you got to have a big room to appreciate them, I'm sure.
Anybody else with their favorite room before we start the raffle?
Yeah.
A question over here?
So in terms of like looking at these systems, what do you find is the best source material? Do you like tapes? Do you like vinyl, CDs, or digital?
Oh, easy. Reel-to-reel tape. It's a ranking of reel-to-reel tape, good DSD, digital, good LP. You have to have that DSD for the digital. You have to have a good, well-recorded LP. But there's nothing like the master tape copies of reel-to-reel tapes. Nothing at all.
I would say the MBL room that had the UHA
Yep.
deck.
Yep.
We played some rock, and I thought it was stunningly good.
Yep. Yep.
Huge sound stage, no hint of grain or glare. I would say also that surprisingly tape, still the king, but it's a little rare.
Yeah, and it's hard because you got to spool it up. You have to pay for it. If you buy a tape deck off of eBay, you're going to have a tech rebuild it. Then you're going to find out that, well, it's word of mouth and where you buy the tape. So you have to search the internet. You can
And
get
it's
on our-
expensive.
It's expensive. So reel-to-reel tape copies are $250 to $500 a copy. So this is special listening material for those, once a month special listening sessions. But I'll tell you, it is the best. But like anything, if you listen to only digital, you're fine. If you listen to digital and analog and jump back and forth between your record player, your turntable, and you get used to the differences. But if you only listen to vinyl, you won't like digital unless you listen to DSD. If you only listen to Redbook digital, sometimes you won't like vinyl because you'll hear the ticks and the pops, and they're going to drive you out of your mind because you're just not used to it. I mean, and so, in other words, the more you have, the more you manage your portfolio of source material, the wider your portfolio is of source material, the more you're able to say, okay, I see the benefit in this, I hear the benefit in that, I like it all. That's where I come from, because as a reviewer, I have a lot of different source components. Well, if there's one more question, and then we're going to go to the raffle. How about one more?
Yeah. Yes.
Do we
And
have,
one over there, too. So we'll get two.
where's our mic person?
Well, this is also my first time at a show of this nature, and I'm listening primarily to digital, and I certainly agree with you that reel to reel, there's just nothing like it. And perhaps this question is not appropriate to ask you all, but to me at least, the machines themselves are very expensive. Do you foresee that the price of these reel-to-reel tape decks will come down, to something I considered reasonable, say $5,000 or something like that?
Well, that's a very good question. I'll repeat it. Will the reel-to-reel decks come down in price? And the answer is yes and no. Yes, there's a project in Europe to create $5,000 reel-to-reel tape decks made in Asia. Has it come to market? No. Are they going to be able to deliver at that price point and have the quality of sound that you get from a UHA deck? No. Because
It's just like anybody who manufactures, they have to have enough of a build run to qualify the price point.
Yeah,
So if you only have a small percentage of people that are actually going to buy tape decks, they're mostly made to order.
and/or repaired to order.
Right, so it's very
Right.
expensive, unlike making a CD player, for example.
Yeah, because remember years ago, when us gray hairs here, when we were growing up, you could go into a Pro Audio store or your local hi-fi store and buy a Timbre TD20 or a Revox B77 deck, and it was expensive. I mean, they were $1,200, $1,300. So 30 years ago, $1,300 today equals around $8,000. So you can get the cheap ones off the eBay that may have to go to a tech and they may have to work on them. They may not play quarter or half
They
track.
can be really noisy if they're not.
And they may be noisy. The United Home Audio deck has a phase 1 entry level. I think it's $8,000. So it's tough. It's a tough game to get into. Let's do that one last question. We're running out of time here for the raffle. We have one over here, I believe.
There he is.
There he is. Okay.
Wait one moment.
Yeah, wait a
because
moment, yep.
The fellow's coming over with
Yeah, I
the
think we're
mic.
going to get a comment on someone has a favorite room here, which I think I missed.
Conrad Johnson Vandersteen room.
Conrad Johnson Vandersteen is a great combination. I've heard that combination at 2 shows, and I think that they have I call it a good handshake. The amplifier
Synergy.
and the loudspeaker and synergy. So you have good ears, sir. Good ears. Well, let's move along to the raffle because that's what we're all here for. I'm going to go over and if we can, let's move this over to the center stage. Now, we have 2 raffles. We have the live raffle we're going to do right now, and then we have the Von Schweikert, or E3 raffle, we're going to do next. We're raffling off 3 each of the soundstage expander from Black Ice Gelita, and 3 each of the XTRs. They're right up here. We're also raffling off
Move a little closer.
yeah, we're also raffling off a Core Power 300. We'll get your address. It didn't show up for the show. That'll be mailed to you from Core Power. So let me do this. That should be good.
Somebody fell right through the cracks.
One fell right to the crack, and I'm going to pick that one first. Number 6431093. Come on down.
Hey.
Okay. Okay. Well, Kemper's got a plane to catch. We're going to let him go. How about a round of applause for Kemper?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kemper.
Thanks, Kemper.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Get that Uber driver to not take the wrong way. You can grab one of these, either the FOS SXX would be the soundstage expander. That's the expander, yep. Congratulations.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Ticket number 6431122. Come on down. This is the gentleman who likes the Vandersteen Conrad Johnsons.
We're doing another
Yep.
expander, right?
Yep, I'll pull another one. Okay, ticket number 6431126. No, not here?
Nobody left the room.
Oh, good, here we go. Come on down. Congratulations. Give this man a soundstage expander.
Yes, you can stay right there.
Or sir, do you have a turntable? Yes. You should get an XT, you should adjust your azimuth with an XTR. I would, I think, yeah, I would give him an XTR. That will dial in your vinyl. Perfect. Actually, he was ready to buy one. Okay. Okay, ticket number 6431099. I'll read it again. 6431099. Nope. Ticket number 6431101. How about that? People they're missing out. Okay, ticket number 6431081. Here we go. We have a winner. Take your pick. Adjust your turntable or adjust your soundstage. Okay. Ticket number 6431134. We have a winner. Oh, that goes in between your preamp and your power amp, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Ticket number 6431123. Come on down. Congratulations. Okay, now we're going to be raffling off the Core Power 300. Now, we're going to need your name and address, because that will be mailed to you from Core Power. They brought a 600. They did not bring a 300 to the show. Mark, who works for Core Power, had a health issue, and he sent along a bunch of product and thought it'd be best to have us just give the address of the winner. Ticket number 6431092. You're the winner, sir. Terry, will you get his address, please?
Yes, I want to get it.
Okay. Okay, that's the drawing
Pen.
for the live drawing. Now we go to the big drawing. Give me a moment to dump the cards in.
Oh, you do. Yes. This is the biggie, right?
Wow. Okay, here we go. Round and round. Oh, and round she goes. Think that's enough? No. One more.
All right.
Okay. No, I'm not going to get the one that's stuck to the edge like the other one. I'm going to dig in. Okay. Robert Harvey, mobile number 810. Are you here? I don't think so. Oh, I wish we could keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
Why don't you call him? Call him.
Let's call him on the phone.
Yeah, you have
Let's
to
call him. Let me get my phone. Where's the phone? Yeah, hold on. Thank you very much for attending the raffle and Reviewer's View.
Thank you.
Thank you.